what skills do I need to be a category manager? Which is a good question, because I think it's actually subtly changing at the moment. At its heart, you do need to be probably analytical or probably comfortable with numbers, because at its heart is about the rigor behind the insight we have. So you need to have a good feeling for what the numbers mean and what the implications are of the numbers. Ultimately, I think it came across that it is about collaboration. So you need to be happy building relationships and influencing internally and externally. One that I think is really important is you've got to enjoy shopping and have an interest. You know, when you go into store, how involved are you in the experience? And finally, tenacity, especially for suppliers, because the retailer has lots of suppliers wanting to be involved in the category conversation. And therefore, you've got to be proactive and you've got to ensure that you are leading the conversation and conviction behind your category management conversation. The hard skills to be a successful category manager, you need to be fundamentally proficient in Excel, because that is your tool, and that will get the best from the data. You need to be able to deliver range reviews. So you need to understand the range process. You need to understand how to get an optimized range and the process needed to it. You do need to be in the nicest way, a salesman. Because whether it's a retailer or supplier, if you're coming up with initiatives that you believe are going to change the growth in the category, you need to sell it to someone. And this is where the compelling stories come in. So you need to be able to construct compelling propositions in the right way. And that is about understanding. So you need a hard and fast, better understanding of who you're talking to and deliver the proposition to their needs. And that is also a bit about time management, about using the time you have with who you're trying to sell to in the best way possible. What are the biggest challenges to a category manager? Another question. Again, there is the internal and there's the external. The external is you need to understand what's going on in the category, but you need to inspire and you need to come up with insightful solutions and opportunities. But the challenge is, within the retail environment, a lot of the tools are defined. And if you're going to work outside those tools, it's going to take a lot of work. So that's where that tenacity bit comes in as well. So the external is influencing, and the challenge is internally for a supplier is often how you demonstrate your worth. You have sales and you have marketing. The marketeers are very clear on this is my brand and how big it's getting. The sales very much, this is my account plan and how well I'm driving the sales. Category manager has to be clear on what they are driving in helping their business and ensure that is communicated internally. The other challenge is, and I'll just go very quickly on this because those questions, the other challenge is the more successful you are as a category manager, as a supplier, the more the retailers will want to work with you. But that has the added challenge about your resources. So be aware of that. If you're going to try and drive and be these category partners with lots of people, be clear that you have the resource and the time to be able to give them all the value they need. Oh, what is the difference? This is a hard one, and I think we might come back to this. We'll ask them, what is the difference between a category manager and a buyer within the retail environment? Those names are often intermixed. What I would say, both have the intention of growing their section and growing the pieces. A buyer, in my opinion, would be more focused in the negotiations and the relationship between the supplier and the retailer. A category manager is more interested in the relationship between the shopper and the retailer. What are the key points to remember for those working with category managers and about supporting the best you can get out of them? The challenge for the category managers is, especially if they're good ones, is knowing that their time will be being soaked up by everyone. So be clear on what you'll need and make sure you're using them in the right way. If they're a good category manager, give them the challenges outside of just providing data and insight to providing solutions and answers. Give them scope to think outside the box. Also understand where their remit is internally and externally. So be careful of challenging them to do something that really isn't a category area, whether it's creating pseudo arguments or just providing data. So I've got a question here. Does the role of category management change slightly in a B2B relationship with other suppliers rather than direct to retailers? It does change. Obviously, the audience is different, but still at the heart has to be about changing the behavior of the end purchaser. So that is the focus of it. How we get there and who we get there through will be different, but we have to think the full end-to-end process, but ultimately it is influencing that last purchaser. I've got one here. How closely should category management work with trade marketing? I'm guessing that comes from a supplier. And again, I would say, is it trade marketing? I would say, hopefully, they should be shopper marketeers, whether we call it trade marketing or not. And they should be very close. As we talked about going through the in-store environment, the tactics available, trade marketing is one of those. And ultimately, I would say trade marketing should be shopper marketing because we should be marketing to the shopper. So as a supplier, if the retailer wants to do something that is wrong for the category and wrong for the shopper, you should say so. So therefore, trade marketing needs to have the same knowledge and have that insight that the category manager has on the category. So they should work very closely together. And also when we talk about some of the core tools or the core insights behind some of the category management, like eyeline, byline, positions in store, language, category management should be there helping. So they should work very closely. Okay, thank you for your time. I look forward to meeting you on category management courses in the future or in category management webinars when you're looking for your career in category management. Thank you.